let's talk about some rumors, Lisa. You want to talk about some rumors?
I love
Let's talk
talking about
about
rumors,
let's
either
talk about
promoting them or just squashing them.
Alexa, play Fleetwood Mac rumors. No, don't do that. We don't want to get dinged on YouTube. Look, let's talk about expansion. I think that's where we have to talk. That's sort of been the big word that has been circulating around headlines with the news cycle. And let's not only talk about the rumor, but let's squash some of this stuff, Lisa. People come to us sometimes to get updated on things, and maybe we have to remind folks of the timeline of events here. NWSL, there's expansion chatter. Once again, there's always expansion chatter going on. We have really been talking about a number of teams that could enter the mix for the league, because the league and its commissioner has talked a little bit about expansion in the past. There has been the timeline of events that we have heard about, which the targeted time was 2024. And not only was that the targeted season, but they also said, the league said, and the commission said, listen, it's going to be 2 teams in 2024. So when that kind of comes out, everyone's like, hey, who's going to be the teams? What's it going to look like? The other side of that is the actual markets that are interested, right? So we heard most recently during the 2022 NWSL Championship final, when Lisa and I went on out there to cover things for A3 and CBS Sports, one of the things that happened in this week-long wonderful event was a bit of a state of the league by NWSL Commissioner Jessica Berman. Of course, things like expansions is always asked about in these media settings, and she sort of opened up her state of the league, kind of addressing that off the bat, said, hey, that there were, at the time, this was October 2022, at the time there were 82 proposal bids, interested groups, and that after that deadline passed to get your official proposal in, that there realistically would be anywhere from 5 to 10 market cities that they were going to sit down and have some more serious conversations with. And since October of 2022, the deadline passed in November. Obviously, 2023 has arisen. We also were in Philly, Lisa's hometown, to cover the draft, another state of the league. They had narrowed down some things to expansion, and those conversations are still ongoing. There has been no official announcement by the league in regards to who the new cities are going to be, but there have been reports in Sportico since December 2022 and a recent Wall Street Journal report talking about expansion cities and who they are going to be narrowed down to. First of all, shout out to Sportico saying that it was going to be somewhere between Utah, Tampa Bay, and Boston, and now Wall Street Journal saying Boston, Utah, and the Bay Area. So another shout out to Jeff Kassouf, another one of our good colleagues who's pretty much reported on Utah being set to be the next expansion team for quite some time now. And again, if for folks who need the context of things, there used to be a Utah team in NWSL. Once upon a time, there was a franchise called the Utah Royals. Now, unfortunately, they had an ownership group that had allegations brought against them from players of racist, sexist, and toxic work environments. And in 2020, the former owner of all of those entities decided to enter into a sale process. Now, unfortunately, that also included things like academies, youth academies, and the MLS side in Real Salt Lake, not just the Utah Royals. So in a transferring of ownership, in came Kansas City. And what happened within this transferring was they were allowed to transfer the roster to Kansas City and as a new expansion side. And in return, Utah would be able to retain marketing, licensing the Utah Royals FC brand, and they would be able to retain all that with the intention of launching a league in the near future, I think no later than 2024. So because of all of those ties to Utah, there has been a lot of source reporting ever since their departure, really, from the league about when are they going to come back? Will they come back? If and when, and how is that going to look like? And sort of going from 2020 to 2022 and now here in 2023, we're starting to get this final picture of what expansion cities are going to look like. But there's 3 being thrown around. And I think that's where folks are sort of taking a look at and saying, like, how is this going to work out? So I think the way it's going to work out is there's still going to be 2 teams in 2022. Yeah. And there will possibly be a third, but that team will not come into the mix until post 2024. Yeah.
That's the biggest rumor we wanted to squash on here. There will not be 3 teams joining the NWSL in 2024. 2. When Jessica Berman, commissioner of the league, talked so much about how she wanted to grow this team, how there is an appetite for the NWSL across many, many markets. As you mentioned, hundreds of applicants saying, hey, we want to join the league. There's so many different factors that come into play as to if you're even eligible to be one of those teams. And Jessica Berman was very frank about it. She was like, ball is in our court because we have the upper hand as the league to understand where the best markets are. And she said, we are in control of how fast and how quickly we grow this league right now. And we want to make sure we do it right. And so that means 2 teams coming in 2024 and then the continued growth from there. She also said there's no cap on how many teams the league is looking to have. It's not like they have their eyes set on this number of 14 and that's it. They're going to stick with 14 or anything like that. It's by no means is that the case at all. I could see the NWSL continuing to grow and then it becomes split into divisions, right? You've got your Western division, you've got your Eastern division, things like that. But yeah, I mean, I think for me right now, it seems pretty obvious, according to all of the reporting, that Utah will be a team joining this league very, very shortly. Again, it hasn't officially been announced yet by the league. And I also think San Francisco, the Bay Area, is the other top contender for this position, based on the investments that they have and the work that they've done and everything coming out of it like that. I mean, the investors that they do have, right? It's Danielle Slayton, Allie Wagner, Brandy Chastain, Leslie Osborne, I believe is the 4 former U.S. women's national team investors for the Bay Area. These investors are working really hard. We actually did a great interview with them a bit ago about the Bay Area and why they want a team to come there. And then after the reporting that happened most recently out of Sportico, I believe, Equalizer picked it up, Wall Street Journal, a bunch of people picked it up. It was said that Boston did a $50 million bid to get their name on the report and get in there. Personally, I think that came out and that was reported and that happened because Boston heard that Bay Area is going to get the team, not Boston. And Boston's trying to, throw a couple of extra dollar bills at the league and say, hey, get us in there. But I mean, if you're asking me, Lisa Roman, my opinion, I think it's going to be Utah and San Francisco in 2024. That's it.
Yeah, I think realistically, that's what we're going to see in 2024. Look, I love a combo breaker. I love someone coming into the arena and you hear their music go off and you go, oh my God, that's so and so's music. I'm here for it. Like if there's a bidding war for multiple markets to try to get a franchise in NWSL, that's only good for the league. And I think it's important to sort of note that sort of $50 million mark, because it's much different from what we're hearing with Utah, right? Targeting somewhere between $2 to $5 million. And I think that you have to go back. That's all the context that I was trying to provide for the show right now. And everybody listening is because of all of those all of the clauses that sort of existed with Utah Royals in the past and their transition of ownership and maintaining a sort of balance within the league. Kansas City kind of coming in the midnight hour of things and saying, we want a team in NWSL. We want to enter this league as an expansion franchise. So it's very, very interesting to sort of see how things and the dominoes sort of keep falling because they haven't all completely settled into place. It's just sort of been one after the other. But that, I think, is you could sort of see from 2020 now to 2023 how that valuation has just ballooned over time and not just any kind of time, but we're talking about a 3-year span, maybe 2.5 if we're being more
Right.
specific. But
And the fact that the league is growing in twos. 2 California sides last year, 2 again in 2024. That's super promising too.
yeah, and I like that according to some of the reporting that it's that the league is like, okay, we're listening. We're still listening to
Yeah.
these things. They're enthusiastic about it. They are noticing that there are multiple strong bids, but that they still want to grow in a very specific way. And I think that that's also very important too, because while expansion chatter is like really, really exciting, we've talked endlessly, it feels like, about how this next era of the league is just incredibly transitional. We're just like in a very big transitional moment for this league right now. And the other side of all of this expansion chatter, I think that also comes with it should be, sustainability. So we're talking about, yes, exciting new markets, new cities, new teams, all that stuff is always going to be exciting. But there always has to be that conversation of sustainability that comes with it as well. Because this is a league that is entering a new era that, you've got players with a player union, a CBA that's in place. You've got, you've got 2 teams right now, 2 founding teams that are looking for new ownership, right?
Yeah.
Portland Thorns and Chicago Red Stars are looking to sell their former majority owners are looking for um new owners to come in and buy into their specific clubs already in the league. So it's just like a very, very interesting time to sort of take a look at the landscape of the league and also talking about expansion. So looking at the league moving forward, I think the possibility of having 14, 15 teams maybe as soon as 2025 is very, very exciting. But what I want to see
Huge.
after that is I want to see this league sustain itself. If the goal is to have 15
Yeah.
teams in this new era, let's see what that looks like moving
Totally.
forward. And if it is
Totally.
Utah, and if it is the Bay Area, I'm with you in that we're starting to see a shift in the actual
Mhm.
geographical map of the
Yep.
league and how heavy it's going to be on the West Coast side of things versus the Midwest versus the East Coast side of things. So I think that that's something else that they're probably looking at, which is possibly why Boston is so intriguing to the
Making a
league right
case.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, and I just think, down the line, it really makes a case for a team in Philadelphia. I'm just gonna
Hey,
put that out there.
just gotta throw it out there. Just call them the Birds. You don't have to call them anything. Just call it the Philly
No,
Birds.
no,
And
we already have a legendary team called the Birds. Come on now.
yeah. Oh my goodness, that'll be another episode. Lisa names the potential Philly NWSL teams. Oh my goodness, it wouldn't be an A3 show during the NWSL preseason if we still didn't talk about signings. But Angel City, one of the teams that has yet to announce their preseason roster. A lot of teams are dropping their preseason rosters right now. We're getting to see like 30, 35 players, 40 players on some of these preseason rosters. But Angel City's still making moves because they announced that they signed Katie Johnson to a 2-year deal. And they announced her as a midfielder and forward option. So
I know.
they're
I saw
definitely
that.
trying to make sure that they have bodies in certain areas of the pitch because we had chatted about in the previous episode how Kari Braccaro is now a member of the Chicago Red Stars for a trade. So, and of course, if you missed it, we had a great interview with Orlando Pride's new Vice President of Soccer Ops and General Manager Haley Carter. Make sure you check out that episode. It was not just an interview. I promise you all, it was a great conversation. Haley Carter, a former goalkeeper in the NWSL with Houston Dash for several years, now part of this new era of former players entering new roles in the league, whether it's at the executive level, administrative, or coaching or technical staff roles. So please check it out when you get a chance.